You know exactly what you need to do. You have the step-by-step plan. You've probably watched hours of videos on discipline and consistency. Yet, when it's time to actually sit down and do the work, you feel absolutely zero drive. You just can't bring yourself to execute. It is incredibly easy to label this as a personal failure or pure laziness, but the reality is entirely mechanical. Your lack of drive is a symptom of a biological crisis, a continuous dopamine overdose engineered by the daily habits you perform on your digital devices. Look at the numbers. Whether scrolling, gaming, or jumping between notifications, the average person is feeding 7 hours of their day directly into a glowing screen. If you maintain that exact pace until you're 50, those daily hours compound. You will have spent 14 full years of your human lifespan doing nothing but passively swiping. This constant, rapid-fire stimulation exacts an immediate neurological toll. Our ability to sustain focus on a single task has degraded to a mere 8 seconds. We have biologically conditioned ourselves to have a shorter attention span than a goldfish. This shattered focus is an induced neurochemical crisis. Because the problem is biological, simply trying harder to be disciplined will fail. You have to mechanically reset the system. To run that reset, we have to understand dopamine's actual role in the brain. It functions as the primary neurotransmitter for your reward and motivation system, the chemical engine that drives you to pursue any goal. The problem is how we source it. Today, we rely heavily on cheap dopamine. These are passive, instantaneous, unearned rewards generated by endless scrolling, junk food, and gaming. You exert almost zero effort, but your brain receives a massive payoff. Compare that to premium dopamine. These are the active, delayed rewards earned only through physical or mental friction.
You get this dopamine from completing a difficult workout, engaging in deep learning, or building a complex project. Unearned digital rewards cause a massive dopamine spike. To protect itself, your brain raises its motivation threshold, drawing a new, much higher baseline across that spike. Now, gradual curves of premium dopamine fall completely below this threshold. Your brain stops registering them as rewards. Once those chemical scales are tipped this severely, willpower becomes largely irrelevant. Your brain cannot physically desire hard work when it is numb to the payoff. The only way to restore your drive is to actively starve the sources of cheap dopamine. We do this through a specific repair manual, the dopamine detox. Step 1 requires a brutal audit. You sit down with a pen and paper and identify the exact digital triggers, the specific apps, games, and streaming sites that overstimulate your brain. Once identified, you deploy behavioral friction. Friction is the deliberate act of engineering your physical and digital environment to make cheap dopamine harder to access. If your phone is in another room, the effort required to scroll increases, breaking the automatic loop. You can apply this digitally too. By enabling grayscale mode on your devices, you are stripping away the vibrant, colorful interfaces that psychologists use to trigger your reward center. Studies show that simply removing the color reduces daily screen time by nearly 40 minutes. Next, you establish detox windows. Start small. Carve out a rigid 3 to 4 hour block of your day where absolutely zero digital stimulation is permitted. During these windows, you will inevitably feel bored. Do not treat that boredom as a punishment you need to escape. Boredom is the active, necessary mechanism that forces your brain's inflated reward baseline to lower back down. As the baseline drops, you substitute the cheap hits with premium habits. Take this chart comparing qualitative reward center activation. Practices like meditation or yoga nidra stimulate the ventral system so effectively that the activation rate is 65 times higher than the passive hit of doom scrolling. A successful detox depends on aggressive environmental design rather than internal willpower. You must make bad habits difficult and good habits inevitable. When you first remove this digital friction, your brain will panic. You will enter a very real withdrawal phase. Expect sudden spikes of acute anxiety and intense cravings. For the first few days, normal life will feel agonizingly dull. That painful stillness is entirely temporary. It is the necessary bridge you have to cross to establish a sustainable, long-term framework for your focus, built around the 80-20 rule. In this framework, 80% of your day is strictly protected. You engineer this massive block of time exclusively for premium friction.
executing your plans, learning deep skills, and doing focused, productive work without interruption. This pie chart illustrates the balance. The remaining 20% is reserved for controlled, time-boxed leisure. You can watch a show or text your friends, but putting a hard boundary on it ensures relaxation doesn't spiral right back into an infinite scrolling loop. The biological payoff for surviving the withdrawal and protecting your time is immense. As your baseline lowers back to a natural level, everyday tasks that used to feel unbearably boring suddenly become highly stimulating and deeply rewarding for you once again. Enduring that initial environmental friction is the only path forward. It is how you repair your attention span, actually execute the exact plans you've been sitting on, and finally build the life you've spent so much time watching others live through a screen.